I used to think the worst thing that could happen in high school was being ignored. I was wrong. What's worse is being noticed by the wrong people for the wrong reasons. What started as side comments and mocking whispers turned into something monstrous. And the worst part? The world watched it happen in real time, laughing as I broke. I still hear the sound of that live stream notification, the one that changed everything. If I close my eyes, I can still feel my clothes being torn from my body. I can still hear them saying, "Watch the freak's big show." My name is Lila. I'm 17. I used to be quiet shy maybe. The type of girl who blends into lockers, books clutched tight against her chest, eyes focused on the floor. I loved drawing. I'd sketch in the back of class or under the bleachers during lunch. Not because I was antisocial, but because I learned early that silence was safer. But my silence didn't save me. It started with Harper and her clique. You know, the type lip gloss smiles, hiding shark teeth, always surrounded by phones, always performing. For months, I was just a background character in their world. Then one day, I made the mistake of saying no. Harper had asked to borrow my sketchbook loudly in front of the entire class. I politely declined. She laughed, called me sensitive, and walked away. But from that moment on, I wasn't invisible anymore. Suddenly, everything I did became ammunition. My thrifted clothes, homeless chic. My silence, creepy loner vibes. My art cringe fanfiction level drawings. They mocked me in whispers that weren't quiet. They passed my edited photos around group chats, photoshopped to make me look grotesque, bloated, monstrous. I reported it once. Nothing changed. In fact, it got worse. Then came the day Harper approached me with that fake kindness that makes your skin crawl. "Hey, Lila," she smiled. "There's this online modeling contest for alternative girls. It's so you. You could totally win." She handed me a flyer. The design looked legit edgy font. Social media handles, a QR code. It said, "Stand out. Be seen. Audition Friday, 5 p.m., school gym." For a moment, I let myself believe it. Believe them. That maybe this was a turning point. That maybe for once I wasn't the joke. I spent the entire week preparing. I even bought a second-hand outfit I couldn't afford, black lace top, dark red skirt, boots with silver chains. I remember how I smiled at myself in the mirror that Friday afternoon, whispering, "You're allowed to be seen." But I wasn't walking into an audition. I was walking into an ambush. They had it all planned, the lights, the cameras, the followers watching live. And me, their unknowing, unwilling star. The gym was unusually quiet when I walked in, but my heart was too loud to notice. I clutched the flyer in my hand just in case someone questioned why I was there. The lights were dimmed, but a spotlight near the center illuminated a marked X on the floor. There was even a tripod set up nearby, the kind YouTubers use for serious content. I actually smiled. For a second, I thought this was real. Lila, Harper's voice, rang out from the shadows, too sugary to taste right. She stepped forward, wearing a headset mic like some kind of show host. Two other girls, Mara and Sienna, flanked her holding clipboards and pretending to take notes. I could feel the eyes watching me from behind the camera lens. "Wow," Harper said, circling me like a shark. "Look at you. Didn't think you had it in you to dress like a human." The other two snickered. I laughed nervously, brushing off the insult. "So, what do I do?" "Oh, just stand right there," she pointed to the X. "Give us your best pose. This is your chance, right?" I hesitated. Something in her tone cracked, but I pushed it down. I was used to overthinking. I stepped onto the X, took a breath, raised my chin. That's when the music blasted from the speaker's clown music. Literal circus music. Then came the sound of phones buzzing. Notification pings. Laughter. Not just from the girls. From beyond the gym. From my phone. I looked at the camera and saw it wasn't just recording. It was live. The screen behind the girls projected the stream. I saw the chat exploding. Who the hell let Pennywise wear lipstick? Is this the freak show? Yo, I paid for fashion, not trauma. Rip it off. Rip it off. My stomach dropped. Harper grinned. Don't be shy. Let's help you show off that style of yours. She lunged forward and grabbed the lace top. Before I could react, I heard it tear. I screamed. Not words, just instinct. I tried to push her away, but Mara was behind me, yanking my skirt. The silver chains clanged loudly as they shattered against the floor. I was shaking, clutching the ripped fabric to my chest. They laughed harder. "Look at the little clown cry," Sienna sneered. "Is this part of your performance, Lila?" I turned horrified and saw the camera still rolling. The stream was live. My body, exposed, humiliated, trembling, was being broadcasted to strangers, to classmates, to whoever had clicked that cursed link. That's when Harper leaned close to the lens and said it. "Watch the freak's big show." The camera zoomed in on my face, wet with tears. The comments went wild. I ran, tripping over myself, grabbing whatever pieces of fabric I could. I ran straight out of the gym. I didn't look back. But I knew one thing as I ran barefoot across the school lot. They had broken something in me, and I wasn't sure I could fix it. I didn't stop running until I reached the back stairwell near the art wing, my hiding place. I curled up behind a stack of paint crates, shivering, clutching the shredded remains of my clothes around me. My phone buzzed endlessly in my bag. I didn't need to look to know what they were saying, but I did anyway. I opened the stream. It had over 42,000 views. Comments filled the screen like static, each one a needle. She actually thought it was real, LOL. That top tore off so easy, must have been secondhand trash. Next time, bring popcorn. The school should thank Harper for the entertainment. I turned off my phone. My breath hitched. I couldn't cry anymore. I had passed crying. I felt hollow, like I had stepped out of my body and left Lila behind in that gym. And the worst part, no one stopped it. Not one teacher, not one student, not even in the aftermath. When I came to school the next day, covered in a hoodie 2 sizes too big, hood low over my face, it was as if I had become radioactive. People didn't speak to me. They whispered. They watched. They laughed. Boys passed me in the hallway making ripping sounds. Girls mimed pulling shirts off and giggled. My locker had been vandalized with a sticky note. Encore coming soon. I kept my head down. I didn't go to the cafeteria anymore. I stopped drawing. Even the teachers, those who must have known something, said nothing. Maybe they didn't want to get involved. Maybe they didn't want to be next. I was utterly alone. Until one day a small, folded note slipped into my locker, caught my eye. It wasn't typed. It wasn't cruel. It was handwritten in neat, careful cursive. "They won't stop unless someone stops them, I believe you. Come to room 203 after school." There was no name, no signature, just hope. I went. Room 203 was the AV lab, mostly used by the media club. I pushed the door open cautiously. Inside, sitting by a row of computers, was Maya, a girl I barely knew, quiet like me. I remembered she used to hang out with Harper until about a year ago. Then she vanished from their circle. Now I knew why. She looked up, then immediately turned the monitor toward me. "I downloaded the full stream," she said. "The original. Before Harper edited it. Before they cut out the beginning where she lied to get you there." I blinked, confused. "I saved it all," she said quietly. "Every second. You're not the villain here. They are." I collapsed into a chair. It was the first time since it all happened that someone looked at me and didn't smirk, didn't pity, didn't record. She looked at me and believed. That was the moment I stopped being the freak and started becoming the storm. Maya didn't speak much, but when she did, every word was like flint-sharp, deliberate, and sparking fire inside me. "I used to be their project, too," she said, eyes locked on the screen, "until I got too boring, or too real." She clicked through time-stamped footage. I watched myself walk into the gym again, only this time I wasn't alone. Maya had overlaid comments, reactions, and most importantly, the beginning. The part where Harper handed me the fake flyer, said the word audition, and waved at the hidden camera already filming. "This is what they didn't upload," Maya said. "They clipped out the trick so it looked like you were just another crazy girl seeking attention. But the raw file shows the setup." I stared at the playback, my stomach churning. But it wasn't shame I felt anymore. It was rage. Hot, buzzing, electric rage. "They turned you into a joke," she said. "So we turned them into evidence." That's how the plan started. For days, we worked quietly. I skipped lunch to meet Maya in the AV lab. She taught me how to extract metadata, trace IPs, and cross-reference timestamps from Harper's socials. We found the private group chat where they bragged about the performance. We found DMs, screen recordings, even Venmo logs, where Harper paid someone to leak the video to a Dramedy page on Instagram. Everything was documented. I built a digital war chest. Still, there was one thing left. "I don't want just revenge," I told Maya one night, staring at the glowing screen. "I want the truth to hurt them the way they humiliated me." Maya nodded. "Then let's make them famous for real." She had an idea, a presentation during the school assembly. Every semester, the principal hosted a student highlights showcase where achievements and performances were shared. Maya pulled strings with Mr. Keene, the AV supervisor, who didn't know the full story, but trusted Maya's tech skills. We submitted a student documentary under a fake project name, Digital Consequences When a Joke Goes Too Far. We were approved. I spent the next 2 nights barely sleeping, editing the footage, splicing in screenshots, text overlays, and cuts of Harper's laughing face with real-time reactions from the livestream. Maya added a voiceover, soft and haunting, echoing the words from the bullies' mouths. Rip it off, watch the freak's big show. Let's humiliate her good. We blurred my body but left their laughter raw and untouched. The final video ended with this screen. This is what happens when cruelty is entertainment. Are you still laughing? We watched it in silence. This will ruin them, I whispered. Maya just said, good. The day of the showcase, my hands trembled. But not from fear, from power. For the first time in weeks, people were going to see what I saw. Not the edited lie, not the meme, but the truth. And once it played, nothing would ever be the same again. The auditorium buzzed with chatter as students filed in, oblivious to what was coming. Harper was seated front row center with her entourage, flipping her hair like royalty. She didn't even glance my way when I slipped into a seat in the far corner. Good. I wanted to see her face when it happened. Principal Gaines stepped onto the stage and welcomed everyone. We'll be showcasing some inspiring student-led projects today. Please give your full attention to the screen. The lights dimmed, the chatter died, and the first frame hit like a hammer. Digital consequences when a joke goes too far. At first, there was confusion. Then silence. The kind that swells like a held breath. Harper's voice echoed through the speakers. You'd be perfect for this edgy contest, Lila. Just show up, trust me. Laughter followed. Not from the audience, from the video. The fake kindness. The clipped flyer. The camera angles. The trap. Then came the ripping. The clown music. The chat comments flashing in sync with her face on screen. Watch the freak's big show. Gasps spread across the auditorium. Then murmurs. Then audible disgust. Some students turned to look at Harper. Others looked away ashamed. The raw footage left nothing to hide. Harper's smile vanished. She was frozen eyes, wide lips, slightly parted. Mara and Sienna shrank in their seats. No one laughed. And then came the final card. They laughed at my pain. But I am no punchline. Lila. The screen went dark. For a full 10 seconds, no one moved. Then someone clapped. One person. Then another. Then the whole auditorium erupted, not with mockery, not with cruelty, but applause. Real, thunderous applause. I didn't expect it. I didn't want pity. But in that moment, something in me healed. The principal stepped back up, his expression unreadable. But when he spoke, his voice was firm. Thank you to the students who submitted that powerful piece. Rest assured this incident will be investigated thoroughly. I left before Harper could say a word. I didn't need her excuses. I didn't need a forced apology. I had said everything I needed to say without saying a word, but that wasn't the end. The fallout was immediate. By lunch, Harper's social media accounts were locked. The T-page that posted the stream deleted everything. I heard whispers of suspension hearings, meetings with parents, even threats of lawsuits. For the first time, I walked through the halls and didn't hear giggles. I heard silence. And sometimes silence is justice. Maya and I sat on the bleachers that afternoon, legs swinging. Think they'll remember, I asked. They'll never forget, she said, smiling. A few students passed by and nodded at me, not awkwardly, not mockingly, just respectfully. It was a start. And I had found my voice again, not by yelling, not by fighting back with fists, but by telling the truth. Unedited, unfiltered. Now the whole world had seen their big show. But the joke was finally on them. The weeks that followed felt like waking up from a long, bitter nightmare. Harper and her friends were suspended indefinitely. An official school statement acknowledged the unauthorized live stream, and severe harassment and counseling was made available to any affected student, especially me. It felt surreal hearing my name spoken with care in announcements instead of whispered behind my back. But some scars don't fade that quickly. I still flinched when I heard phones clicking, still hesitated before walking into open spaces, still had nightmares of laughter echoing as my body was exposed. Healing wasn't instant. It was slow, messy, and full of doubt, but I had something now that I didn't before: control. People began to talk to me differently. Some offered apologies, awkward, hesitant. Others avoided me altogether, ashamed of having stood by or watched without helping. A few brave students even confessed to laughing at the stream when it aired live and told me they couldn't sleep afterward, that it haunted them. Good, it should haunt them. Even some teachers admitted they had failed me. One left a note on my desk. "You were brave enough to do what we weren't. Thank you." But what mattered most to me wasn't any of that. It was the quiet moments with Maya, my only true friend. We started working together on more projects, shifting our focus from revenge to advocacy. Our next video wasn't about bullies, but about survivors, about reclaiming your narrative, about what it means to stand up after being shattered. The AV room became our little bunker of rebellion, a place where truth had power. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of Harper in the distance, her makeup less perfect, her steps less confident. She'd look at me, eyes narrowed, but never said a word. Because now she knew I wasn't afraid anymore. Because I had already lived her worst nightmare and survived it, I still carry the torn clothes in a box at the back of my closet. Not because I'm proud of what happened, but because it reminds me that girl didn't break. That girl rose. And if you're reading this, watching this, listening to this, whoever you are, wherever you are, and you feel like your pain is being performed for laughs, know this: they can strip your clothes, they can mock your silence, they can live stream your breakdown, but they can't erase your truth. And when you finally stand up, when you decide to speak, not to please, not to entertain, but to tell the truth, that's when the real show begins. What happened to me wasn't just bullying, it was public humiliation weaponized for entertainment. But through the pain, I learned something no live stream could ever capture. Your dignity is not theirs to destroy. People will try to strip you down to nothing, to a joke, a headline, a meme. They'll laugh, share, and scroll past your suffering like it's disposable. But you are not disposable. You are not the punchline. When you speak up, when you fight back, not with fists, but with truth, you reclaim the story. You take the camera back and aim it where it belongs. So to anyone who's ever been mocked, cornered, or broadcasted against their will, I see you. I was you. Don't let them win by staying silent. Tell your story. Because when the world sees the truth, the freak becomes the fighter. And the audience finally learns who the real clowns are.